Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the TA session for TDS, 20th October. And today we'll be going over week 3 content mainly. But there's also some little bit of housekeeping with some things that I said we would do in a later session. So I'll address those things first, and then we will get into week 3 proper. Okay. Does that sound good to everyone? All right. Okay. So go on here. And you can see my screen, I think. Okay, so one of the things that we had left undone from last time was when we were looking particularly, I think, at GA1, there was an issue where I was having trouble solving one of these questions, and that was, yeah, comparing these files, right? So I figured out after the session was over what mistake I was doing. And the mistake was while we were doing the compare, and I'll show it now. While doing the compare, the important thing is to first sort the file, A and B. Only when you sort the file can you use the compare function. So I'll demonstrate that now so that you know that it actually really does work. Right, so just give me a second here. So let's go ahead and get this file. Let's extract it. Mm, okay. And I think this
Sir, what
should.
we are going today, sir?
So this, the agenda for today is that what you're asking?
What, sir?
Is it the agenda for today? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir. What we are going to today?
Yeah. So mainly we'll be going over week 3 content. Particularly, we'll be looking at the GA as well because that covers a lot of useful things. And there were a couple of things from the previous sessions that I just wanted to address because
Okay.
we weren't able to solve them in those sessions
Hmm.
because I made a mistake in one of them. And
Okay,
then
sir.
the other one, I said we will take some time to discuss it, and that was CSS selectors in particular. So those
Yeah,
two
yeah.
things I'll address first, and then we'll go into week 3 proper. Okay.
Okay, sir. Go
So
ahead,
so
sir.
one of, yeah, so one of them was this comparing the files, right? So if you remember, there were two files, A and B, A.text and B.text, and we were using this function called com, right, which is a comparison function. And I said there are, if you look at this function, it's produces it compares two files. Okay, but this is the part I forgot. It should be sorted. Only then it will provide you a meaningful comparison. Okay, otherwise it will give you garbage output. So once they are sorted, then what will happen is it will print out three columns. The first column, so forget this suppress part, okay? The first column will print lines that are only in file 1. The second column will print lines only in file 2. And the third column will print lines common to both. So that's what this function does. Uh, and so that's what, whoops, that's what we will do. So, but of course, before we do the comparison, it has to be sorted. So the way we would do that, I think there is a function called sort, I think. Yeah, sort. So I'll say sort a.text, change it to something like sorted a.text. And then we can do the same for B. So what this does is the lines inside them will be sorted. Okay, that's what this sort function does. Now, once they are sorted,
Sorted means exactly I didn't get lines will be
so
sorted
yeah,
means.
so if you look at the file, yeah, so if you look at a.text, these lines are just some random lines, okay? And if I look at the top here of this, so it starts something C, capital C, then some B, then some P, like that it will start, right? So what sorting does is it will sort it line wise. So for now, if I look at the sorted file, notice it's, can you see this? Z, Z, Z,
Yeah, yeah.
Y, 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 X, 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 W, W. This is sorted now. The
Alphabetical.
lines, yeah. So this has
Okay.
been sorted. So the comparison function only works if the files are actually sorted. Then it works correctly. Okay. So that's what I forgot to do last time. So now that we have, I think we have sorted it, right? Yeah. So now that we have sorted the files, we'll use the comparison function now. If I do, so remember so if I just do com a.txt and b.txt, okay. If I just do this, actually what it's doing is it's printing 3 columns. I know you can't see the 3 columns, it's all mixed up here, but it'll print out 3 columns and it'll be exactly this, what it says here. Okay, the first column will have lines that are only in file one. So you remember I showed you a G sheet and said 1, 2, 3, and then another one that's had similar things. So that's exactly what this does. But by using these options, right, we want to suppress what output it gives. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suppress the output of lines only in file one, and I'll suppress the output of lines common to both. So then you will get what is effectively the difference between the two, if it only prints this one, right? Or if it only prints this one. So that's what we want. We want either only the first column or we want only the second column. So the way we do that is by providing these options. So that's what we'll do. So I'll say com. So we'll use the sorted file, sorted A, sorted B, and actually I should give the options first. So I'll suppress 1 and 3. So you can give it like this 1, 3, or you can even put 1 dash 1 dash 3. It doesn't matter. And so it will give you all this, right? But we actually want a count of it, right? Because we don't want to see the output. We just want a count. So what I'll do is I'll use this pipe symbol. You can see this symbol over here. That's a pipe symbol. So what it's saying is, whatever this outputs, whatever this command outputs, I want you to send it into another command. So that other command is count the lines. So WC is actually word count, but if you would use this dash L operator, it will count the lines instead. So now what it will do is, whatever this produced, which is only the lines in column 2, which is the difference between the two files, I will count only the lines is what I'm saying. Now if we do that, we'll get a number. So you can see it's 34. And hopefully now it should work correctly. So if I say 34, check the answers. Yeah, so that's correct, right? So it worked. So the main mistake I did last time was I didn't sort them before using the com function. Now you may ask, okay, what happens if we use file one's output instead of two? It should be the same, right? And that's exactly what it will be. So if I say sorted a dot text, sorted b dot text, we should get exactly the same output because it's only the difference between the two files. And if you notice, same output. 34 lines are different between the two, and so that's what it is. Okay, so any doubts about this? You can open your mic. Okay, it's easier when you just communicate directly because there's not a lot of us, so it doesn't matter.
You can explain these options, this one, two, three. I mean, suppressing.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way is like using some Google Sheet. I'll do. Um, so if your file A contains these lines, and if file B contains, let's say, 4, 5, 6 or something, and so what com does is it tells, so the first column will print out lines that are only in file A. Okay. So what are the lines only in file A? Go ahead. Who asked the question?
It will be three.
Psychat, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
So
It
it'll
will
be
be three.
3, 4, 5, right? No, 3 and
No, 4 5 will not
no,
be there. It will be only three.
Okay, so here's the thing. The way COM works is it requires sorted files. So that's a good question. Will it work with 5, 3, 4, 5? Okay, only 3 and 4 I think should, no,
No,
only
4
3.
also is there into.
4 also
Yeah.
is there, yeah. So it should be only 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lines only in file 1, yes. Okay. So then the second file, and we'll try this, okay? We'll create these files as well. Second one was, what are the lines only in the second B, in B? What are the lines only in B?
6.
Yeah, 6. So the answer should be 1 for either one of these, right? And what are the lines in both?
1, 2, 4,
1, 2,
5.
4, and 5, right? So this answer should be, 4, this answer should be 1, this answer should be 1. All right, so let's try that out. So what we'll do is let's make sure I've understood this correctly. Lines only in file 1, lines only, yeah, lines common in both. Okay, yeah, that's correct. So let's create these files. So we'll um, so I'll just call it A, and we'll say 1, 2, 3, and what was the 4? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, so that's in file A. Then file B, we will put 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'll just check if there's an empty space at the end because that also matters. Okay, so I have to move that. Okay, so we got those two files. Now, hopefully, we should get this output. So what I'll do is I'll first just do COM A and B. Okay, they're anyway in sorted order, so we don't have to worry. So, is it the expected output?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's right? 3, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5.
Mm.
So the difference is 1, 1, 4. So the question is, if we want to count, what are the files, what are the lines that are only in one particular file and the other? We use these ops. So now it prints out all 3 columns, right? So if what we really want is to only print one of those columns because it's enough, right? There is only one difference in this file and there's only one difference in this file.
Mm.
So I'll suppress column 2 and column 3. Okay. And I need to give the file names A, B. So notice it will print out only 3. Okay. So now I send the output of this command into a word count function. So WC, but we want lines, not words, right? So I say dash L, I give the dash L option to say count lines, not words. And the answer is 1. So that tells us the difference, how many lines are different in that file compared to the other file. So you understood how that works?
Yeah. Thank you.
So that's what. But the important thing is the file has to be sorted. Only then this function works as expected. Okay. Clear?
So if we are using a
Carton. Sorry, Pradeep, go ahead.
if you are using a diff command, so I think it will show 3 and 6, right? So in that case, should we consider a diff, whatever the output that comes with the diff command, we should divide it by 2?
I don't know. I haven't tried with diff. Let's try diff. So what? So diff. Have you tried using diff?
Yeah, I tried with the diff.
So that's the output of diff.
Yeah, it says like one line is there in first file, one line is there in second file.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you do comparison, this is how the diff, right? I mean, this is exactly, there is one extra line, 3,
Yeah.
which is
But
missing.
yeah, you'll have to pass this though somehow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So COM is easy to pass, right? So that's why I use COM.
Okay.
I don't have to use any fancy parsing for COM. The only thing is COM, it has to be sorted order. That's the only thing. But
Okay.
the output is nice and clean to parse with COM. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. So that one's sorted.
I have a doubt here.
Yes.
Actually, na, I did not use this bash commands for uh, pointing out the differences between these two files. I
Okay.
just went to Visual Studio, and
Yeah.
there is one, I think, in the command palette, there is one, I think, command is there that. Do you
Right.
know the compare it thing? Compare it
Okay.
app was there.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's good.
No, no,
We
no.
can.
I mean, but it just highlights the lines which are
Okay.
different,
Yeah.
and that should not be the actual procedure, because if there are hundreds of lines, I cannot manually count those. Here, there were
Okay.
only a few, so I could count those. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that should not be the proper approach. But
Okay.
in that case, if the files are not sorted,
Yeah.
here it highlighted only three, right?
Yes.
But in Visual Studio, it would have highlighted 3 and 6.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it here also it did both, but the difference is it's in separate columns. If
Yeah. So only one line which is different.
yeah.
It gave that output, right?
Yes.
It might be the case that in Visual Studio Code, it will give line number 3 and line number 6. The two lines are different.
Yes.
So these things might affect the result. So I'm not sure. Matlab, uh, both the ways are correct only, but both will give different results.
Yeah. I mean, the specific question was how many lines are different between A and B, and the answer is only. I mean, in our case, which we did in our test run, only one line was different, right, between them.
Right.
So that's
So
totally
I got the same answer. I got correct answer using
okay.
Visual Studio Code as well. But
Okay.
I think this should, whatever you did, should be the proper way to do it.
Yeah, this is a clean way, and
Exactly.
you'll get the correct answer every time.
Again, it's just like you said, ki there are multiple ways
Yes.
to approach any question.
Yeah, some people use diff. If they're able to do that, that's fine. Uh, I find this very comfortable way to do it. So I usually go for the easiest solution. Okay. Okay. So that's sorted. So that's good. Then I said I would go over CSS, right, to give you a better understanding of how CSS works. So it won't be an exhaustive look into CSS, but I'll give you enough so that you're able to solve most things regarding CSS. So for that, what I'll do is, let's see, do I have? So what we'll do is we'll look at last term's uh, graded assignment first. So then that way you'll have something fresh to look at. And so last yeah. So this was one of the questions. Are you able to see it? Make it a bit bigger. So this was the question. You have the you have this HTML structure, this file over here, and it represents a list of featured products. Which CSS selector would you use to extract the product names? That is the text content of only the span tag elements that are direct children of the div tag elements with the class highlighted product. So this was the question, and what I can do, maybe I'm wondering how I can share this question with you. Um, are you guys able to like take a screenshot of this? Because if you're able to take a screenshot, then you can look at the question while I'm working it through with you. Okay, shall I proceed?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what I'll do is, what I did was I made a little, oops, is this not working? I don't know why it's bouncing around like that, but okay. So this was the same thing. I just put it into a HTML document, the exact same thing. And uh, I've created this notebook to help us understand what's happening. So start with, okay. Yeah, okay, I haven't created an environment, so probably should do that first. Just a second here, create environment. So I made the environment Command Shift P, select virtual environment, select the Python version that I want to use for the environment. So it's created it now. Then select the kernel for the Python notebook. And so we are ready to go. Let's start install that. So just take a couple of seconds while we sort this out. All right, I need to also pip install percentage pip install this 4. Right. Okay. So that should work now. Right. So all I'm doing is importing that exact same HTML file I showed you, which is what was in the question. And so now you can see how the CSS selectors work. So I trust Jivraj has explained this to you, but in case you need a refresher, I'm using the library called Beautiful Soup, opening the file. Normally you would give it a URL or something through the requests, which will fetch you a response, and then you would use that to create your soup object. But here I've downloaded it locally, so that's what I'm reading. You need a parser, so I'm using the HTML.parser to create the soup object. And now once you have it in the soup object, you're able to use CSS selectors to, or any number of the beautiful soup objects to be able to get what you're looking for. So the first thing I want to show you is what this option does. Div.highlighted angle brackets span. So this is finding all the div elements with the class highlighted product. So this div that you see here, okay, this gets all the div elements. Okay, so if I just did soup dot select div, okay, if I just did this, notice what it pulls out. So if you remember here, there's a div here, right? It's got bits inside. There's a div here. It's got bits inside. There's a div here. It's got bits inside. So let's have a look here. Same thing, right? One. So it's a list. It gives you a list. 1, 2, 3. So it pulled out all the 3 divs, right? But what we want is find all div elements with the class selected highlighted product. Right? With the class highlighted product. So if I do soup dot select div dot highlighted product, if I do just this, okay, and see what the result of that is. Now it's pulling out the divs which has this class. If you look back at this structure here, this div tag has this attribute called class, okay, and that class has this attribute has a name called highlighted product. So there are 2 of them here, right? So the selector that we use, we said div dot. This dot represents a class, okay. So if I, for example, used a hash instead of a dot, it would pull out an attribute called ID instead of class. So imagine if this had ID equal to some div or something like that, some ID. Okay. So if it had this ID, if you wanted to select this particular tag, so instead of a dot, you would have to use a hash. Okay. But we want only the ones which have the attribute, class, and the value of the class is called highlighted product. So when we selected this, as you can see, it pulled out two things now because there are only two of them which have that uh, attribute called class highlighted product. Okay, but what we want is all div elements with class highlighted product, find the elements span which are its direct children. Okay, so now here is something called a combinator. So this combinator with this angle bracket that points to the right is what you use when you want something that's a direct child. Okay, so if you look at the structure, so this is the structure of HTML. Okay, it's a what we call the document object model, and inside a tag, the tags that are inside, these are called children. Okay, so I've nested them here, but even if they are not nested, okay, even if they are flat like this, they are still within this head element. So in other words, these are children of the head element, but nesting it makes it more clear. Okay, so if you look at this tag here, can you tell me, does this tag have a child?
Yeah, and
Yes, yeah. So span is the one, right? So if I make it more clear, then you'll see it. If I do it like this, it's still the same HTML file. It will still render exactly this way. Nothing will change in the way it looks outside on the browser. Okay, but the way I've nested it here shows the hierarchy of the tags. So this is the outermost tag. This is div is its child. This is the sibling. Okay, this is what's called a sibling because they are at the same nesting level. Okay, these tags. So these are siblings. Then this is a child of the div tag. This is also a child of the div tag here. But this span tag is a child of the p tag here. So span is a grandchild of div class. Does that make sense? Is it clear so far? You'll have to be audible, okay? Because I can't see the screen if you're doing thumbs up and things.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, great. So, so this angle bracket does that, okay? Which is find the element span which are its direct children. So it's for only direct children, okay? So for example, if there was this span tag had something else inside it, okay? Like give it another name, say an A tag or something, okay? Some okay. So if there was another tag inside this angled bracket would not pull it because it's only the direct children, not grandchildren, not great grandchildren. So it will pull only the direct children. Which direct children? Only span tags. Okay, so that's what this does. So that's why if you see when I hit play here, it will only pull out product 1 and product 2. Okay. Now I know we made some changes here, so I'll just undo these. So we'll get back to the original things we were looking at. Oops. Yeah. Okay. I think that was, and we didn't have this. Also. Okay. So as you can see, if it was only the direct children, notice this tag did not come, this special offer, even though it was a span tag. Okay. If you look here, here we could see 1, 2, 3 span tags, right? In fact, let me just split this screen. It will be easier for you to see. So, so as you can see, there were 3 span tags when I did div.highlighted product. When I said direct children, which tags? Only span. So instead of getting 3, only these 2 are direct children. This one is not a direct child, right? This is a grandchild of the div class that we are looking at. So that's what came out over here. That's why you got only product 1 and product 2 over here. Okay. So now let's look at a different way of looking at tags. So again, the same thing. Div tag, find all div tags. That's what this means. The dot says with the class, what's the name of the class, or what's the value of the class rather, or value of the class. It's highlighted product. Okay. Now notice there's only a space and span. And look what it pulls out. Pulls out product 1, which is this span tag here. It pulls out special offer, which is this tag here. And it also pulls out this product 2, which is this over here. So that's because when you just use a space and not this combinator, it pulls out all child elements. Which child elements? We wanted span. So all child elements, regardless of nesting level. So even if you have 4, 5, 6 levels deep, you have a span tag, it will pull that out if you just use a space. But it will be within what? It will still be children. Okay, children of which this particular tag. Do you understand how that works?
Why this product 3 is not coming?
So uh, what does this say? This where the arrow is.
Class.
So div, right? So div tag, yes. And what does this dot represent?
Class.
Class.
Class
Right.
belonging to
Div.
div tag.
Div.
What is the name of the class?
Highlighted product.
Is that what's here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we
Please.
can try what you said though, right? You want to
Yeah.
know how to get product 3, right? Right. So if you look up here, the first one, notice when we did only divs, what did it get? It got product 3 also, right?
Right.
Here, if we give div space span, it will give product 3 as well, right? Even
Yeah,
if we
we'll try
give
it. Yeah, we'll try it. We'll try it. We'll try it. Only by trying we will learn, right? So div, if I do span, so can anyone tell me what this is supposed to do? Div space span.
all the children's of div class, children's,
Hmm.
grandchildren's, where
Yeah,
span element is present.
yeah, yeah. So children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, as long as there are span tags, it will pick out all the span tags, right? That's what you expect, right? Let's see if that what happens. Is that what happened? Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
Yes.
Great, right? It's exactly what we expected.
Yes.
Good, you're getting it, so that's good. So now the next thing is I say, okay, find all elements with the class highlighted product. Now notice I didn't give a tag now. I said find all elements with the class highlighted product. So let's do that. Soup dot select. Oops, highlighted product. Okay. Don't know. I think my computer is listening to what I'm saying. Okay. Right. So this dot represents class. So this means find all elements, okay, which has this class called highlighted product. So it found div class highlighted product and another div class highlighted product. Notice it produced the same output as this over here. Yes. When I said div dot highlighted product produced the same output. And when I say dot highlighted product also it produced the same output. Yeah.
But in the case, if you did not have any class, in any element named div or something else, some I think if other than div, some element is there and it has a class highlighted product, it will be also returned.
Correct. So we'll make one up. Okay. H2 class equal to, I don't know how it's thinking, what we are thinking, but okay. Right. So here's a tag with the class highlighted product. Right? It's not a div, right? So I'll have to obviously run this from the top. Just see what happens. Okay. So we got all that. Now we will try this. Where is it? This one, right? So you can see what it did before. It picked out only the div classes because those were the ones with highlighted product. So now you're expecting that it should pick up this also, right? Even though it's not a div.
Sir,
Yes.
which GA is this?
This is last term's GA, but
Oh, last term.
I'm using this because I want you to solve this term's GA yourself.
Okay.
So by teaching you last term's GA, I want to show that you are able to solve yourself this term's GA. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So what do we expect this to produce now? This is what it produced before. Now we made a change. What we are expecting this to produce? This one here.
Yes, we were expecting that H2 will also, that
Okay.
product 4 and H2
Yeah.
will
So
also.
I'll run it. Is that what happened?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Can everyone see this now? So we are selecting any tag, any element that has this class. Why? Because the dot represents a class. Now remember, dot represents a class and hash represents a something called ID. So if I had something here and I said H3 ID equal to some ID. Oops. Okay. So hash represents ID. So we'll just run this from the top. And now, oops, where is it? Yeah. So now I'm saying ID. This hash represents ID, right? So we should only get product 5, correct? Yes.
Product 4.
Carlton, highlighted product is not the ID, no, ID name, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true. Anyway, we'll see what comes out. What do you expect will come out?
Nothing.
Yep, you're right. Nothing came out. So let's do some ID. So you guys are awake. That's good. That's good. Look at that. So it picked out that one. Yeah. Okay, great. So now, what did we want? What was the question? Right. Find all elements with class highlighted product. Then find all child span elements regardless of next. So we did this, right? So we already done that. Yeah, okay. That's fine. The next thing was, okay, I'll have to, okay, it doesn't matter. So next thing was find all elements with the class highlighted product, then find all direct child span elements. So I know we made some changes here, so it does affect how you solve that GA. But if I remove these, right, for the time being,
Not required, right? If you don't remove it, will work because it doesn't have span child.
yeah, but this highlighted product is there, right? We don't want that one.
But you want find all direct child span elements, right? It won't
Yeah, yeah.
have a span
Yes,
element.
yes, correct, correct. Yeah, it doesn't have a span. You're right, you're right. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, so actually we can leave it in here. Okay. So we should then get only these two, and that's exactly right. You're absolutely right. So you get direct children of highlighted product. So we got here's a tag with highlighted product. Here's a tag with highlighted product, and also this is a tag with highlighted product. But notice we wanted the combinator said we wanted a class with highlighted product, but only direct children uh, that are span elements. And so although this was class highlighted product, it had no span elements. So it did not give us this. It still gave us only product 1 and 2. So have you understood so far everything we have learned?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Now, going back to the original question, which is this question. So the question was, which CSS selector would you use to extract the product names? Now, the interesting thing is this question, even if I did not give you this, okay, even if they did not give you this, you should still be able to solve this question because it's a technical question just by looking at this question. But the reason they gave this is to make your life a bit easier. So can you tell me what the answer to this question is before we look at the answers?
It would be div dot highlighted product, less than sign, and then span.
Okay. Is that, does everyone agree that's the answer? Anyone has a different answer? Okay, they all trust you. Who is it? Monica, is it or no?
Yes.
Monica. Okay. So let's have a look. What's the right answer? And you're right. That is the right answer. So you noticed how you can solve this question without really looking at the code. In other words, this is a technical question. You should be able to answer these questions without looking at any code. Okay, because it is a technical question. Okay, good. Now, what I can do, okay, before we continue, I'll show you some few more advanced CSS selectors. Okay, this will be useful for ROE and things. So let's say, for example, you want to find something in a list that is given. Okay, you want the fourth tag, the fifth tag, or whatever. So one way to do this, although I haven't shown an example here, you can. So this is the tag. Okay, for example, this is called a list tag, li. Okay, and you want the say second, third, fourth, or fifth child. You use this command li colon or in whatever the name of your tag is. So say for example, it's div. Sorry, so select. I do div, and you say you want the nth child, and you can say which one. So two, you can say two, and what did it give you? It gave you the second one, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. So that's
Yes.
how you get a different ones. So this is an example, I think, of it. So if you so this item 1, 2, 3, 4. If you wanted the nth child, that's how you can select a particular one in case your code requires it. Okay. So that's how you find it. Li dot colon nth child. So in this case, I use the div tag, but you can use any tag. So these are li tags. So you can use nth child and get the tag you want. So these are just some examples I'd gone through last time. Then you can do some clever things also. If you know how in tables in Google Sheets or Excel, you'll have these alternating colors. So you can use something called 2n. So 2n will give you every second item. So in case you have a list of items and you want every second item instead of every item, you just do 2n and it will give you the second item. So it will give you 2, 4, like that it will give you. Okay, so that's how that works. So these are just a little more advanced, but it will be useful in ROE. And the best resource for all this, okay, because I can't show you everything. It's not a class on CSS. The best resource is what I've told you before. You go to MDN and you go to CSS selectors, this section here, and just go learn till combinators from CSS building blocks to combinators. If you learn these 5 things or 6 things, whatever these are, you are all set. That's all we require to learn. You don't require to learn anything more. We don't require to learn cascade, specificity, inheritance, cascade layers. None of these things we require you to learn. Those are useful for web developers. But for scraping purposes, only these are needed. Okay?
Sir, go to the combinator, sir.
Yeah. So in combinators, they will show you here the things we talked about. So you see this?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
So there's the child
See this
combinator. Yeah, direct child combinator. There are others also. Next sibling. Remember I told you there are siblings. So next
adjacent sibling.
Yeah, so plus is the next sibling. Then there is another one also, subsequent sibling it's called. You can use this tilde sign and you can try it out. They have an interactive editor where you can try it out. So you can see the changes in real time. And then you don't need complex selectors. I'll be very surprised if you need this. But if you learn till here, that's more than enough. Using combinators. So you see here, they show you how to use combinators and they use some, so they're using li, giving some attribute to it and all that sort of thing. Okay. So just learn these things. CSS building blocks to combinators. If you learn this, right, then you'll be set. So I won't go through all this because it'll take a long time, but hopefully I've given you enough uh, background to be able to solve most things. And you can do more complicated things. If you want odd number lines, you say odd. You want even number lines, you say even. Every third, then you do 3n or whatever, and things like that. Okay, so you can do even complex equations, 3n minus 1 and all you can do. So, but that's an example. Okay, great. So any questions so far?
Yes, sir. But related to the sir practical exams, yes, sir. Exam
Yeah,
project,
this
first project.
first project, you will not need this for first project, I don't think.
No, sir. But it's given to release on 18th October. I think 18th October is past.
Yeah, it will release most likely, hopefully tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this is about CSS selectors. Okay. So this
Sir,
will be very,
we have been informed by the team, or we get on the our dashboard, sir.
it will be on the portal.
Okay, on
Okay.
our dashboard, course dashboard, right?
Yeah, the portal. You know, when you log into your TDS portal, right? When you go here, where is it? Your portal, normal
Yeah.
portal. Yeah, it'll be on here only. It'll just like these modules, you'll get
Okay.
one something that says project. I mean, this is last terms. So if you look here, they'll say something like this project
Mm-hmm.
will be there. One
Yes.
separate one will be there. Okay.
Okay. Sir.
Okay. Right. So going back to GA2, so are you guys able to solve this question now? Of course, we gave you some HTML to look at. So we gave you this, but this was just to help you. Okay. But the question you understand is technical. So the question is, which of these CSS selectors will retrieve all staff employees with the class manager? Now, some of you rightly said that two of them may give you the same answer. But can you explain which one is the right one and why? So of course, in this case, it might be helpful to actually look at the
Sir, show me the question again, sir.
yeah. What I'll do is maybe I'll copy this.
Sir, I think one of the option, like the question, I think it is asked like exactly, and one is giving the hierarchical answer also, something like that. Because
Correct.
I explored,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. So what happens is, one of them, both of them will give you. If you look at this code, both of them will give you the same answer. Okay. But the trick is, like you said, one of them will give you the
The
answer
last two
where
option looks very, I mean, exactly same. How come? Or I
because
There
got
is
it.
a minor space difference.
there
Yeah.
is a
Oh,
space here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay,
So
okay.
do you remember what the space means?
All the children, grandchildren.
All children. Yeah, yeah.
Also.
Okay. So I won't go over this, right? So I think I've given you enough background now to be able to understand why the answer is the right answer based on the questions. Yeah. Shall we move on to week 3? Eh, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall I move on to week 3?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Right. So week 3. Let me close this all up. was this session useful so far? I mean, I know we spent quite a bit of time on CSS selectors, but that's because it's
No,
important
sir,
for
it's
ROE.
useful, sir.
Sorry?
Useful. It is useful.
Okay, okay. Because for ROE, it will be important, okay? You'll have to be very good with it, right? Right, so week 3, most of it is pretty straightforward. Hopefully you all went through the videos with regards to like cleaning up in Excel, how to find and replace, change data formats, removing extra spaces. So things like this, right? These are the kinds of questions that might come in your final exam. What function do you use in Excel to remove spaces? You should know, trim, like that, okay? And they'll give you some
Um,
other
One thing I
meaning.
wanted to ask, like I don't
Mhm.
have Excel, but
Yes,
I can use the free version of Excel.
yes.
So I hope that won't be a problem, right?
Yeah, generally that won't be an issue, but watch the videos though. They see the thing is the course can still ask you questions from videos that they presented, right? Even though you don't have the product.
No, I'm asking like there won't be something like which I cannot. They won't ask anything which I cannot do in the free version of Excel, right?
They will not ask anything that has not been demonstrated in these videos.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. But
but
the I
they,
think the data analysis tool we cannot use in the free version of Excel.
yes, yeah. So you will. So as far as data analysis tool, they will not ask you a GA on it, right? But
Okay.
they may ask you if they have shown it in the video. They may
Mhm.
ask. They will not ask you a complicated question. Okay, this is not like where they are going to test you on your skill of how to use a function. But they will ask. They may ask you what the function name is that does something. That's something they could ask. That's typically what I've seen in previous questions.
Can you tell one example? Like I'm not
I mean,
getting.
it's like this one, right? The trim function. Let's pretend that you don't have this function in your Excel. Okay. They may
Okay.
ask what function can be used to remove extra spaces. If it was
Okay.
demonstrated in the video,
Okay.
then
Okay.
you,
Okay.
you don't need to know how the trim function works or
Oh, I
what
thought
parameter.
in ROE they will ask only the practical things, but they can ask like
Yeah.
this also.
No, no.
The
ROE,
objective.
ROE, they won't ask these type of silly questions. ROE will be what I said, scraping HTML,
Oh, yeah. So you mean the
CSS,
end term exam they can ask?
end term exam. Yeah, I'm talking
Oh,
about end
okay.
term.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So from that perspective, they will ask silly questions like this. Did I
One
say?
more thing, Garden.
Yes, yeah.
Will the ROE require Excel?
No, no. You ROE will you can be able to use whatever tools you want. You can use.
Okay.
You will not require Excel to solve ROE.
Because on my computer, the Excel version which is there, it's quite older. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we'll be
100%,
for
100% no Excel. Don't worry.
oh,
No, you don't have to worry about that.
yeah,
I mean, if you can use Excel to make your life easier, that's well and good. But
okay,
ROE is not designed to test what your Excel skills. It is
all right,
designed to test you if you can get the answer to the questions.
okay, right.
Okay.
But it's better to have Excel as well.
Uh, it might be helpful. Yeah. I
Okay,
mean, I won't say it's not helpful, right? Because some things
okay,
might be easy in Excel, but most things that you can do in Excel, you can also do in Google Sheets.
yes,
So whatever tool you have available, you can use to use.
yes,
Yeah, I've
But
asked that question for ROE only, but
yeah, yeah.
okay.
For example, I'll give you an example of what they won't ask. They won't ask you to use, for example, so Excel has an import HTML function, right, or HTML tables or something like that, right? Some specific feature where you can import a web page. It won't ask you any question that will require you to do that. But you will need to know how to scrape web pages, right? So you'll need to know how to use Python to get a request and get a web page. So that's something they will ask, but not something that requires you to use Excel to do it. You see the difference?
yes.
Yeah.
Even I mean, there is one question in GA4. Uh,
Okay.
there we have to use that forecast.ets Excel function because
Ah, yes. Yeah.
so will we get questions like that?
No. In
No.
RO, you will not get questions like that.
Okay, all right. Because that ETS version is not available in older Excel versions.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned this to Anand sir about moving all the evaluated things to open source or things that there are free alternate versions of. So it's something we are working on.
Yeah,
But I think the reason he has left that in is most likely to do with the fact that he wants students to know that the value of some of these functions. So,
okay.
right, where were we? Week 3. Okay. So, right. So that's clean up in Excel. Okay. Then data transformation in Excel. Okay. So these things like pivot tables and all, you should be able to do in Google Sheets. Okay. Please practice trying to do the same things in Google Sheets. Um, text to columns, that's also there in Google Sheets. Data aggregation, almost all these things are there in Google Sheets. Data preparation cells. So some of you might have had issues with this, I think, maybe, because this is more like system commands, right? Data preparation in shell. Did you all give it a try to see what how these things work?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So I've discussed with Jivraj. What he will do is he will perhaps take one session where he'll spend a little bit of time on some of these just to get you up to speed on it, and he'll probably spend like maybe half an hour or 45 minutes on these last three, grep, SED, and AWK, because they are a little more challenging for some. Okay? So I won't cover them today.
That would be
Um,
really helpful.
yeah, but he will. We have already arranged a session to just go through some of these things. Okay. Next is okay, data preparation editor. This is mainly using Visual Studio Code, so we know that. Okay, we'll deal with Open Refine today. So I'll cover that while we are doing the GA. And profiling, that's fine. So there's a Jupyter notebook for that. This particular one, Pillow, they have never asked any questions before on this, and it's labeled optional. It's a nice video to watch though. So if you get a chance to watch, it's very easy. Okay, it's not difficult at all. It's very simple. There's a library and shows how to do image manipulation in Python. So it's just a useful thing to watch. Um, right. This bit Apache Airflow, although we don't cover it, I will say that if you're going to be looking at data jobs, it is worth actually taking some time to understand this. Okay, but from a course perspective, we don't. We are not going to ask you any questions about Apache overflow. Okay, I've not seen any questions in the past about it. But we have kept this here because we know in industry that this is something that they use for their data flows. And I know personally of students who have gone to work for companies and they are using this workflow using Apache or Airflow. So that's why we have kept it here so you're aware of it. And if you ever wanted to know something about it, these are some good starter resources for it. Okay, but from an exam perspective, not so important. Okay. Right, so now we'll get into GA3 because it will cover a lot of the things of week 3 anyway. Right, so first of all, close these and okay. So just take a second to get set up here. So how many of you found week 3? I mean, was there anything particular in week 3 that in the GAs you found challenging?
First two, three questions were challenging for me.
Okay. Where is it? Lying down, there it is. Okay. Right. Okie dokie. So we'll grab this file. Okay, I already have this file. Right. Okay, so now that we've got those, and so same deal, make a new environment. That's done. File. We call it v3 IPYNB for a Jupyter notebook. Select the kernel. Okay. So the first thing we will need is we'll need pandas, of course. Now I'm showing you how I solve this. Okay, this is not necessarily the best way or the only way or whatever it is. Some of you will might use might be able to use the what's it called, the system commands. You know, the Linux system commands to do it, like Anand sir has shown. But I find this is very easy way to solve. Okay, so I go for easy. You can use whatever tool you want. So two things you will require. First of all, this file is a special kind of file called a Parquet file. No, this is not a Parquet file. Okay, maybe, okay, yeah, that's fine. I thought it was a Parquet file, so that's why I downloaded the PyArrow. But you may or may not need this library. So, but just keep this in mind, okay? PyArrow. For ROE, just download and keep it ready. It might come useful. So, of course, we want pandas as PD. So that's our pandas library done. We want a data frame, because that's where we will do all our processing. And we want to open the, oops, what happened? The PD dot data frame. Oh, I'm so silly. Okay. There we go. That's better. And we want to, okay, so now before I open this data frame, we have this humongous file, okay? As you can see, it's a really massive file. It's got all sorts of data in here. And the challenge is, how do we parse this file? So Anand sir in his lecture has shown you one way, which is you use all the commands in the command line. And if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But I'll show you a different way, okay? An alternative way. It's not a better way, it's just an alternate way of doing it. I like to do things in a way that I can understand, right? So can someone tell me, how do you normally open up an ordinary text file in Python? What do you normally do?
Pandas to read.
With
No, but if I don't, forget about pandas for a second. Just imagine I want to just open this file.
open and the file name in the bracket.
Yeah,
TXT.
so we'll do that. Open, and we'll put this file name. Okay.
Extension.
Yeah, there's no
Which
extension there.
extension?
It's just
Okay.
like, I already extracted the file. So I'm just opening this. It's just a text file, right? So that's what we're doing.
Or
Okay.
app.read.
Yeah. So then the next thing is, imagine I want to read everything line by line, right? So I want to read all the lines. What do we do?
App.read lines.
Yeah. So, and we need to store it somewhere, right? So I'll call it
Yes.
lines. So we'll do that, f.read lines. Okay. So that will store everything in those lines. So let's have a look if that worked. So this is now array, right? An array of lines. So let's look at line 0. And that's what we expect, right? This is one
Yes.
entry in the log entry. Yeah. Okay. Now the reason why I like to do it this way is, if we do, for example, pandas has these special features where you can do like text to column type features, where you use a delimiter with a space and all those sorts of things. But the problem is, this line has spaces in all the unwanted places, right? So you can't get clean fields, right? You agree with me, right?
Yes, sir, right.
Yes.
The fields are unclean. So that's why I don't want to stick it in a pandas data frame directly. So I'm going to first process this carefully, okay? And I'll show you what I mean by that, okay? So if we look at the question, he has told us what the fields are, right? As IP, remote login, log name, remote user, time, request, all these fields are there. We need these fields, right, in our pandas data frame. So that's what I'm going to do, okay? And if you think of each field is a list, right? If you think about it, you will have a list of IPs, we'll have a list of remote logins, we'll have a list of remote users. Yeah, agreed?
Yes.
So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'll make a list, okay? So just to save time, I've uh, prepared this list beforehand, so you can see. So these are the same things that he has shown, right? IP, remote login, remote user. These are all our fields, right? Empty lists. Okay, great.
List or
Now,
column, sir?
these are the columns, yeah. But it's you can think of it as a list also because it,
Yes.
each
We takes the
row will have,
IP value. Yeah,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. Okay. So all these pieces are there, right? So these will be our columns or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Now the next thing is we want to parse this very carefully. Okay. The issue is if you use text to columns or space to columns or whatever, it doesn't parse correctly. So I'm going to use an ordinary Python trick that we have learned in our Python class, right? And it's called, you remember there is a function called split. You remember that function?
Yes, sir. It's split by something, space or comma.
Correct. So what we'll do is so we have this line here, right? So let's say I'll just stick this in line, for example. Okay, so it's in there. All right. Now, if I do line dot split, okay, and I give it a delimiter, say a space, okay. Now, so far you think, hey, but that's the same problem we have, right? But watch what I do next. If there is a parameter for split, and that is you can tell how many times you want to run this split, okay. And if you look carefully, so this is where, okay, let me just show you the line first. Oops, line times 0. Hide this, sorry, so you can see the line better. So if you look at each of these fields, so this is a field, that's fine. This is a field, this is a field, that's a field, that's a field. Do we have time zone? Yeah, we have time zone. That's a field, that's a field, that's a field. So all these so far are okay as fields. And if we count these, all of these, 11 of them, and I've counted it already, so you don't have to count it. 11 of them will give us a reasonable split. Okay. So, so if I
But
do
I think,
this,
sir, there is not necessary to give that how many times we split. We simply split that and store in another variable and use that.
oh, okay, we can try that. So let's say X and see what happens. So see, right. So we've got the IP,
List of
we've
list.
got
Yes.
the remote login, remote user, time zone, all this so far we got. Okay, so far so good. But here we have a problem. These are not separate fields, right? How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But here, if I do just length of X, you'll see. We've got 23 fields. So your split didn't
Yeah.
work, right? So this is why I said the first 11 fields are okay. Okay. Now we'll watch what this does. You agree? Does that look good?
This one is very
Sir, how
useful.
it works, sir? What is the difference?
Because I've said I want only 11 splits. So it will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When it gets to the 11th one, it won't split this last bit because the
But
problem
why?
is in this
Yeah.
this
Oh, that is a
this left.
problem.
This is the problem, right? So I said, okay, split only till here because these are all good. I don't have any issues with this. This is all nice and clean for me. But this 11th one is a problem, right? So we will deal with the 11th one separately, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay. So that is the trick. So then the question is, okay, how do we deal with the 11th one? So the problem is only in this bit here, right? Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But if you
That
notice,
that you select, that is a one field, right?
yeah, this is all one field, this till here, till this end of this quote.
That is one field. Okay.
But if you look at the two over here, these are fine. So how do we tell Python we want only these two bits? So I'll show you another trick now. It's also a simple Python trick. So we got 10 good fields. The 11th field is bad. So now what we'll do is we'll say X, and we have a look at the 11th field, which is X10, I think. No, it's not X11. Sorry, 11 splits it into 12. Okay. It means 11 times the spaces have been done. So there are 12 in here, I think. So if you look at the 11th position, this is the 11th position, right? Now I'll do again a split, but this time I'll use, instead of split, I will say R split. Do you know what R split is?
Reverse
Split
split.
right, sir. Split
Correct,
right.
split from the right. And we can still use our nice handy space function. But this time I wanted to do it only twice. There are three fields, but I only want to do it twice from the right. Okay. And I'll call this Y. So you can see what happens. Okay. So let's see what Y has. This is exactly what we wanted, right? This is the 11th field. This is the, sorry, this is the 12th field, 13th field, 14th field. Now we got all 14 fields, right? Nice and clean. Agreed? So that's the trick. The trick is I took one line, split it into 12 pieces. So this is 11 spaces. And then from the right side, I split two more out. So we got three more fields. So that's the split. So the question is, how do we do this in a nice, clean way? Now that you understood the technique. So first of all, there are many lines in this log, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I do first? Do the split. So we'll call it, say, log equal to line dot split. Okay. So this is the left split. Then the next thing is I'll put the items in that in each one of these lists, append it, right? So I'll append these things. Now, if you notice, here I've done some slight manipulations here. So don't worry about this. The reason is, if you look carefully here, some of these things like the get, okay, it has a quote here, right? It's just to get rid of these extra characters. I don't need these extra characters. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup. So, and if you look here, time zone, or whatever, there's this bracket here. I don't need this bracket. Here, I don't need this bracket. So that's all these little cleanups are, okay? Nothing fancy is going on here. Okay, so that's the left split done. Then the same thing I do with the right split. Okay, so this handles our entire log file. Okay, and so if I run this, everything will be processed correctly. All the data we have now ready. Now the question is, okay, now how do we put it into the pandas data frame? So pandas data frame, it's simple. What we do
Sir,
is
print that one list, sir, that you are appended.
to print one of these lists. Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Which one do you want me to print?
Sir, IP.
IP. Yeah. So we'll look at IP.
Yeah, it's good.
All of these are IP address, right? Nice and clean IP addresses.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Because what we've done, we've taken each line from our lines, right? Remember we had the lines from here, right? each line, what we said, split it, put it in the appropriate lists, and we have made a nice clean set. Basically, we have created columns for our pandas data frame, haven't we? But with clean data. That's the key thing. We want clean data because that will make our job easy, right? So then the next thing is, okay, how do you put this data into the panda data frame? So typically, I use a dictionary, so it's straightforward. I just give them the column names, and then I tell what data goes in there. What is the data? These lists, these columns. They are filled now, right?
Yes.
So I just say, this is the column name, this is the data, this is the column name, this is the data, this is the column name, this is the data. So this, I make a dictionary of this, and then stick it in the data frame. And now you can do whatever processing you want to your heart's content. Let's have a look. Isn't that awesome? I think
Yes,
it's
sir.
pretty cool.
Clean, nice. Very,
Yeah,
it's looking good, sir.
super clean, right? Super clean.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And what did we use? We just use basic Python functions we learned in Python class. Look at that. Server, vhost, even the user agent, which was causing all the problems there, referrer, size, protocol, status,
Sir,
the
some
URL.
students use a regular expression to solve that question, sir.
Ah,
To
if
clean
you're
the.
good, if you're good with that, that's fine, brother. No
But
problem.
sir, from the starting, I did not understand what is the regular expression. I always confuse in that.
Yes,
How
yes. It is.
use?
Yeah, it is. See, regular expressions. There is. I mean, it's not easy. You have to first of all. Okay, the concepts are simple. Okay, regular expressions,
Mhm.
but to use it skillfully takes practice. So that will take
Oh,
time. Yeah,
yes,
the concepts of regular expressions are easy, but to construct things so that you get exactly what you expect, that is difficult. It takes experience and practice. So
yes.
that's why I prefer doing things this way
Yes, sir. That is a
because
simple, very nice, sir. You
yeah,
explain simply and get out the results. Very nice.
yeah,
Sir, indeed, it's a very good method. But I wanted to ask one thing, like
sure.
how this method will help me in ROE because this will, of course, will going to take a time to type. I think 17 questions in 45 minutes. I
Hmm.
think like now I am trying like GA. I
Use
should be able to do
ChatGPT.
in GA. I should be able to do in 45 minutes,
Sure,
but I
sure.
cannot do it actually.
Yeah, yeah,
But if I take
uh,
the help of ChatGPT and then
yeah.
maybe
But
because
yeah,
there I don't need to type any code. I don't
sure,
think
sure. Yeah, I
so.
mean the main thing is remember GA. You have virtually unlimited time, right? So that's
Yeah, yeah,
why.
that's what I'm saying. I try to practice like
Yeah,
GA. I should solve in 45 minutes.
sure, sure.
But if I code, I cannot do it in 45
Yeah,
minutes, and it take time.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if
But
I
they will not ask such a
okay
question that takes so much time. They will not ask, right?
in ROE,
Yeah, that would not be something they would ask, right?
okay, so so much coding is not
No,
expected, right?
there will be
Could you
some
please give
coding.
one or two examples of
Much.
any question?
Look, there will be some coding. You cannot get away from that.
Yes,
Okay.
because for the CSS selector, of course, we need one line of code.
Yeah,
But
you will need
that
some
is
code for that.
fine.
You will need to know. See, why am I showing you this? Pandas data frame. This
Hmm.
will help you in ROE to get answers
Yeah,
verifiably quickly.
and if we get like two, three questions from the same data set, then it's very
Ah,
useful.
very easy. Yes.
Yeah.
See, the biggest challenge in ROE is not getting the answers. The biggest challenge in ROE is getting the data into a form like this. Once you get it into a form like this, you can solve most of the questions very quickly. If you ask any student, they will say half the time or three-fourths of the time goes into getting the data into a usable form because there is no point getting an answer which is not right. Right? If you don't
Correct.
scrape it correctly, if you don't put it into a data frame correctly, now you see how nice and clean this is. You cannot get the answer wrong, whatever it is.
Also, sir, I have observed like out of 10 times, two times
Yeah,
it happens that when I use ChatGPT or Copilot to find my
yeah,
answers,
yeah,
two times it happens that it gives me wrong answer.
yeah. And then you need the
Eight
skill
times it
to,
gives me, yeah, eight
yeah,
times it gives me correct answer, but for two times I see that it gives wrong answer.
yeah, yeah.
And it's very difficult to rectify where it is
Yes.
wrong.
Yes, yeah, that requires, because you don't have the experience of looking at its code, right? So that's the thing. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, this is the challenge of. This is why, if you're good, if your basic skills are good, then you're able to use GPT to enhance your productivity. But if the basic skills are weak, you may get through some things. But there is a problem, you'll not be able to solve the problem. You might get stuck at some critical step. So yeah, but I understand that's the challenge. But hopefully, what I'm showing you, these simple things. See, I know this was a very big, complex log file, but the technique I showed you, that I hope is something you take away. That
Yes.
actually you can
It
parse
is
things
super
in a
easy to understand.
yeah, in a simple way. And of course, this had many fields and all. But remember these little tricks. See how I cleaned it up here only. I know there are some few extra characters. So the takeaway should be, before you start doing any work on any sort of file, just take a little bit of time to examine the data. Just visually inspect it and see where you may encounter problems. And do these sort of things. In each cell, just verify. This is called a sanity check. Just verify what you're seeing in there. So when I did this myself initially, I saw, okay, yeah, this is exactly what I want, but this little bit of extra is there. So I got to clean that up. This little extra is there. So then later I won't have any problems, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. So that's why I'm demonstrating this to you in so much detail. Except, of course, this has got lots of fields and things, so that's why it's a bit complex. But now we can start solving these questions. So one
One thing,
thing,
well
yeah,
done. Could you
yeah.
just share one or two examples of ROE questions, like what type of questions asked like that?
See, ROE we will do when we get closer to ROE. At the moment, I want to go through the content, right? Week 3.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Don't worry, we will take sessions for ROE. So we'll take extra sessions for those.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
yeah. So one thing I like to do after we get a file like this also is sometimes useful. Okay. This is again from an ROE perspective, not from a GA perspective. So this is always good to do, df.info, because this shows you um, how much data is there in your file that you've put. And these things are helpful. How many non-nulls are there? So you can see all the columns are filled. There is something in every column. So these sorts of little checks are good when you're doing your ROE, okay? Just to make sure that your file is fine, or are there any potential problems you might encounter. So now this log file has lots of rubbish in it, actually, things that we don't need. So one way I identify it is, of course, I look at the question first, but let's have a look, for example, at what's in these columns, right? So there is a remote login. So if you use this function called value counts, it tells you how many unique values are there and how many times it occurs. If I do this, notice there is only one value in this column. What is that value? Dash. And how many times it occurs? The full the full column is just filled with dashes. So is this a useful column? No. So I know I can drop off this column. Same way we can try df dot, and the clue is by looking here. Okay, when I look up here, see, this is the clue. I want to check these columns. Are these useless columns? Can I drop them off? So we can do that. Remote user dot value counts. That also has useless information in it. Another one that looks interesting to check would be this time zone. If everything is the same, then I don't need that column, because no useful filtering can
Also,
be
it
done.
increase the data size,
Ah,
file
yeah,
size.
of course, of course. But also, when we want to check things, it makes it easier, right? If we don't have, um, what do you call for it? If we don't have useless things in there, makes our job easier, right? So, and yeah, so time zone is a useless column because only one value is there. So no useful filtering can be done, right? So I can drop that one. Let's try method. Now this is interesting. See, 3 unique values are there in method. Get method, post method, and a head. So you see how just doing these checks can help you when you're dealing with data. So let's try another one. Df dot say protocol. Maybe all of them are the same. I don't know. Let's see. Interesting, right? So there's three values here also. Okay, so we can't
Sir,
drop.
what the output it gives to? I did not understand that the bottom name count data types and which in a method get post head, right, sir?
Yeah. So if you look at our data here, see there is a method here, right? There's a
Yes, sir.
method column. So there are, when I look at it initially, I think maybe everything is a get in this column. Okay, I can't check. There are 258,000 or 258,000 rows. So I just do a sanity check. So when I do dot protocol value counts, it's saying, oh wait, that's protocol. Protocol. Protocol here, right? Even from here, it looks like everything is the same. So when I look protocol, but it says actually there are three values. Three unique values are there. 252,000 rows have that one.
1.1,
Yeah.
2.0 is
Four, four,
4883,
yeah. 4083 rows has it, and then HTTP 1.0 has 1410.
and its data type it is int.
In 64. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what it's showing. Okay. So another sanity check would be maybe status. So we'll check status column. So this tells us what columns we can get rid of and what we probably need to keep. Okay, we obviously need to keep this column. There's lots of unique things in there. Then something else might be something towards the end probably. So maybe this vhost maybe might be useless. Let's have a look. So okay, these all things are not needed for GA. Okay, but the reason I'm showing you this is so that you were asking about ROE, right? So these are some useful things to know. Interesting. So I thought there was only one value in there, but actually there are lots of useless values, but there are also reasonable number of other things in here. So we
We
can't
can't
really,
remove that.
we can't remove that. Yeah. So, okay. So we got some idea of some things we want to remove. So next what we'll do is we will get rid of some useless columns. Is a command called df.drop. Okay, that tells you want to drop some columns. Those all the columns you want to get rid of. Time zones. Not sure. Let me just check. Okay, so these are the columns I want to get rid of. So remote login, user, time zone, server, referer, vhost. So the reason I put vhost in here is, remember these questions that are there? None of these questions asks about vhost. So I don't want to look at that column. So I put it in here. Okay. If there's any issues, we'll deal with it. So there are two ways of doing this. One is you can do it in place, which means you don't have to put it in a new data frame. But normally I don't recommend this. Okay. Generally better to put it into another data frame. But since I like to live fast and dangerous, no, that's not true. I'm just kidding. We'll just do this for now. Okay. Right. Okay. So now one more thing I want to do. Timestamp probably. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. So if we looked here, this timestamp, this at the moment is just a string, okay? It's not a date time value, this timestamp. So we want to convert this into a proper timestamp so that we can do some actual processing on it. So what we'll do is we'll say TF and we choose the column name timestamp and we tell, okay, PD, and there's a function in pandas called to date time. So you want to convert something to a date time, you can do this function. So then you tell which column you want to do the date time on, and then you tell it the format that it exists in, okay, so that it can read it. Okay, so we know that this column has a day, there's a slash, and I think that suggestion is correct. Yeah. So there's a day, there's a month, there is a year, there is hours, minutes, and there's an extra colon in here. Okay, but that's because if you look here carefully, see there's a extra colon in here. That's right. Okay. If it doesn't work, it will complain. Okay. So what we're saying is whatever is there in the date stamp column, convert it to a proper date time and stick it back in the same column. Okay, that's good. That seems to have worked. So let's just check that column just to make sure that it worked. Okay. Yeah, it worked, right? And look at the data type. It's a date time now. It's not some string or something. Okay, so it worked correctly. Now I think we are finally ready to actually do some processing. So to make my life easier, what I did is I wrote a little function. I usually write functions if I know I'm going to do something again and again. So I've written this function beforehand. It's not complicated, but I've done this to make my life easy. You don't have to write a function, okay? But I know I have to demonstrate this over and over and over again. So I got tired of writing again and again. So I just converted these simple things into a function. So it's a filter, okay? What I do is I give it the data frame, and the questions were about URLs, right? If you look at the questions, these URLs were given, the time was given, and all those sorts of things. How many successful? That all we'll deal with later. But main thing is always you get a URL and some time and day. So that's why I got tired of writing it again and again. So I just wrote a function that does the same thing. Okay. So that's all this is. Nothing extraordinary is going on here. Basically, all that's happening is um, I'm creating a temporary data frame, and I'm giving it some filters. I'm telling I want it this day by this time, and it's got to have this. It's got to be sorted, and that's all it's doing. Okay, nothing special is going on. It's a filter for date, URL, and time. Okay, one more extra bit of housekeeping. Again, because I'm too lazy to write again and again or to find out values again and again, I just did this. So I made a variable. Now we don't have to do this, okay? But this is just to make my life easy. So let's run that. So now whenever, so many of you guys ask me on discourse, right? What's the answer to this? Is it correct? Is it working? Is the question wrong? Is the answer correct? So I don't want to keep finding out, is it number 2, 4, 5? So I just do this. Right. Now we are ready to use the filter. Oops, filter equal to Q3. Oops. And then I give it the data frame we have, and then we can choose our URLs. Okay, so let's solve one of these questions now. So we want Tamil/Tamil/MP3. Okay, and then what day was it? Thursday. So, so yeah, so I don't even have to put it in quotes because I've just made it a variable called Thursday. Okay, so we can run this now and see what happens. And if we look at the filter DF, so only 235 rows came. As you can see, they all have that Tamil in the URL. And then we wanted all Thursdays. So if you look carefully here, it's going to have all Thursdays in there. I mean, we can verify it. That's not an issue. But anyway, so just trust me, it has Thursdays. because that's what I'm doing here, right? I go through this and I use this function. Okay, data frame dot timestamp dot date time, get me the weekday. So whatever weekday it is, if it is equal to that particular day, which in this case was Thursday, so that's one thing I want. Then I check, does the URL have what I passed to it /Tamil. So I use this, convert it to a string, contains URL. Check these two conditions are there, that URL, that day, and then sort it by timestamp so it's easy for me to see if it's all working correctly. And that's it. Then I put the date and the hour into some new columns so that we can view the output nicely. So that's why you see these extra columns here, so that I can visually inspect that everything is working fine and I can do any filtering that I wanted, extra filtering. Okay. So now that we have our subset, 235 rows, question is from 5, so from 17 before 22. That's what I do. I just say, oh, by the way, I think we needed also get request, right? 200 to 299. That's over here. So now I just add those filters in. So I'll do that. So you can see here, again, just put status greater than equal to 200, less than equal to 299. So now it's filtered for that. Then we want the time, right? So this is why I put this extra column now. So I can
Sir,
say,
your screen is not visible.
is my screen not visible?
Yes, it's not.
Oh, sorry. Did that happen just now? Or?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
just now.
just now.
Oh, sorry.
Now it's
Oh,
okay.
okay. So all I did was we needed successful get request, right? So I just said status greater than equal to 200, status less than equal to 99, because you can see there are some that are 406 and all that sort of thing. And then the time, right? So time was 17. So I do 17 hour less than 22. So notice what I did. Although we had a timestamp, just to make my life easier, I added an extra column. How did I add that extra column? You can see here. See, temp.df hour. So that creates a new column. What I want in that column, I want the timestamps hour. That's it. That's all I did. Okay. You don't have to do this, but I just want to be able to see things clearly. So that's why I did it. So, and it makes it easier for me when I want to just check things over and over again. So, okay. So we done the filtering. So now we need to know what the answer is, right? So let's find out what the answer is. I just find the length of the filter DF. 235. Let's see if that's the right answer. Do I have egg on my face?
I
Oh my
think
goodness.
get
I have
request
egg. I've got 52. Why
get
is that? I
request
have no idea.
filter was.
Sorry, what?
I think get request filter is you just put
Uh,
status filter, but the get request method.
yeah. I forgot about the method. Yes, you're right. Yeah. So we just do filter df equal to filter df. Not status, right? Is it status? No, method, sorry. Method. Okay. Equal to. Okay. Let's see what's in here. Oh, it's still 235. Something I've made a mistake somewhere. I've
Run
blundered.
again, sir, that filter.
Yeah, but I think I made a mistake somewhere. Ah, what? This is interesting. 406 is not a. Okay, no, that is fine. Get this fine. 406.
Yes, sir, run that again.
Mm, 1 second now. Let me just.
41, 42, 43.
You are assigning that filtered data frame to some other variable, right?
Oh, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Good spot, good spot. Hey, 52. I don't think it's 52. Is it 52?
You get it, sir?
Yes, it's 52. Whew. I was thinking what went wrong because I was sure it works. Okay, yeah, so it works. I just used the wrong variable name. Okay, yeah. So you're satisfied, right? But what made all this possible? I mean, this is all easy, right? You understood these things easily, right? These are just normal filters. Learning to use these important. Okay, it's very simple. Just give it the. So I'll show you again. So all you do is you give it the condition first, and when you're giving the condition, which is this bit here, you give it the data frame dot, or if you don't want to use dot, you can use this notation as well. Sometimes dot can be confusing, so you can use this notation as well, which is use a bracket like this. So this is the column name, okay? And then you give the condition and you say what the condition is. So that's what's within this bracket. Okay. Now, if you only gave this, that's meaningless, right? It's just a condition check. So then what you got to do is you have to encapsulate the result in a data frame itself. So you give a condition and you have to encapsulate the result in a data frame. So that's what this gives you. Right? So if I show you, filter, actually I'll just copy this. Okay. If I just do this, oops, yeah, it will give you a data frame. But to make use of it, you have to just stick it into another data frame. So call it X or something. And then you can continue further filtering on that X variable and continue. Or you can use the same variable also. No problem. You can use filter DF, but just make sure that you know what's happening at each stage. So that's all these filters are, okay? And if you want to combine filters, you can use an AND operator, you can use an OR operator. So you can use those operators without any issues. Um, be familiar with date time because almost always, whether in ROE or any kind of assignment, the date time library is very useful to know how to get days from date time, how to get hours, dates. So make sure you understand this, okay? Date time variable, how to get dates, hours, weekdays, and do processing on that. Okay, always very useful. Learn how to convert formats. This is a very useful skill. So if you, I think I've shown you before, but I'll show you again. If you go to and say Python, see it's something I check so often that it straight away shows me. In fact, it takes me to even the location where I always go. You see the where the scroll bar is, the time conversion thing. strft time, strpt time. So one converts to a string and the one converts convert from string to datetime and then from datetime to string. So learn these two, okay? And then these are the directives, they call them, the things that help you parse it. Definitely learn this, okay? I know you can look it up anytime you want, but if you're in an ROE time pressure, knowing these simple things, these are not much to learn, right? You will need this for sure at some point or the other. So just better to be very familiar with it. Or definitely put a bookmark for it. In fact, I should put a bookmark as well. Okay, so put a bookmark to this exact location so that it jumps straight in, because this file is this page is very big actually. So if you want to find the right information, it will take some time. So this is the bit you want from here down. Okay. So I won't show you all the rest of these filterings. Okay, they're all the same thing over and over again. Okay, they all just go through doing different things. This question, the Chrome agent, that there's a, what do you call for it, there's a way to do it, and I'll show you that now, but it's pretty much the same thing. But you have to use a little bit of a trick for this. So that I'll show you. There's our DF. There. Okay. So to do the Chrome bit to get the version, so what I did is, okay, I'll remove all these bits from here. Okay, I created a column called Chrome version. DF over here. And there's a column called user agent. From the string, I extract. So this is a regular expression. Okay, what I want to extract? I want to extract the word Chrome. So this R tells that this is a regular expression. Okay, that tells pandas this is a regular expression. So what is this regular expression? I want to match this word Chrome, and then I want to match what's inside this. So this is an escape character, okay, telling not to match these brackets because that's not what we want. And then it says I want a digit, and this plus means more than one digit. So if there is a digit, then if there are 2 digits, 3 digits, how many ever digits are there, match them. And then there should be a dot after that. So that's what this expression will give us. Okay. So if I run this, okay, what happened? Oh, right, sorry. What was the column name called? It is user agent. Did I misspell it? User agent. Okay. Okay. Oh, here. And, oh, we dropped user agent. That's why it's not on there, I think. Did we drop it? Yeah, we dropped it. That's why it's not there. I'm like, what's going on? Right, so let me run the DF from here. Yeah, so we got everything back. I'll remove this from here. Yeah, so now it should work. Yes, okay. So if you look at this Chrome version and we look at the value counts, what it got. So see what it brought up. So you can see here, it extracted the version numbers 116, 30, 60, 80, whatever. There are many 111 other different version numbers are there. So it picked all those out. So that's what it the regex did. Okay. So that's all it was. How did I get this? I just GP did this. Give me a regex to get the Chrome version number from the string. Okay. That's all it is. So something like this, little things, GPT will work well. So I think that should solve virtually all these questions. So some little setup was required, but up till question 8, you could have quickly solved them without much trouble. Okay, question 9 and 10. Did you all have much trouble with this? This used open refine, right? Okay, I need to actually demonstrate that. It's 10.4. Okay, I need to ask you guys a question. So there are how many over here? 13 people. Do you want me to show you the most common mistake that people used to do with this question? Or you are fine with this? And I can take it up in the next session. Any responses? Any,
For
am I
me, it
audible?
was fine.
It was fine for you. Yeah. Anyone else? Vivek, Vijit, Kumar?
No,
No issues? Kaustav,
no.
Vishnu? Okay. Okay, so yeah, but basically, if you used open refine, you would get the right answer. It's hard to get this wrong. Okay, but that is the excuse me, that was the most common mistake, which is in OpenRefine, when you're clustering, which I will just quickly at the beginning of next session demonstrate because we have run out of time. That was the most common error that most students did. They would not do the clustering properly. And there are many, in fact, I'll just quickly show the program so that whoever is watching the video for their benefit, please just open.
Yes, that will be helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Who was that?
This is Vijit.
Vijit, okay.
Yeah, I did use a different workaround, but yeah, I mean, OpenRefine.
Oh, okay, then yeah, I'll demonstrate it properly, at least a little bit then.
Yeah.
So I might have the file here already. I don't know. Let's see. Do I have to find? There. That's it. Yay. Okay. Okay. So obviously download the program. You have to install it, etc. I'm not going to show you how to do that. Then once you load the file, you see this how it highlights this whole thing. Don't select any of these, but select this. So OpenRefine understands that this is the data you're looking at. Okay, that's represents an entire row of the data. Okay, so that's how you get this data into it. Then the next thing you do is you start. Sorry, you say create project, so name it something, CPS or something. Okay, city product series. Create project. Okay. Done. Okay. So this is just showing 10 rows. If you want 100 rows, you can see 100 rows. So the next thing to do is you click on this button, say facet, and this is a text, right? You're trying to solve, fix the text issues. So deliberately misspelled names are there, as you can see here. Okay. So what you do is you hit this button called cluster. Okay. And now first you'll see, but there are loads of wrong spelling of Bangalore and I think nothing, they are not showing up here. Don't worry about it.
Sir, this is
The next
recorded.
thing, yes, this session is recorded.
Yes, sir. I have to solve the sir BDM graded assignments. So can I leave, sir?
Okay, yeah, no worries. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So what happens next is you'll see, okay, there are only few things in here that it says are wrong, and you can clearly see there were lots of things wrong. So the first thing I did was, when I looked at this, is to find out really what the correct spelling of Shenzhen is, okay? But it doesn't matter for the J. As long as whatever you select, you stick with it. That is the key. Whatever you select, even if you select a misspelling, from here on forwards, you have to stick with it. It's like kind of like getting married or something, right? Uh, once you're married, that's it. Stick with it, right? Till the end, till death do us part. So think about it that way. Okay. So I'll select Shenzhen. Okay. So when I say select Shenzhen, it will tell you 15 rows have Shenzhen and 24 rows have this, and it will have this tick mark that says this is the you want to merge these two, and will show you what the merged value is. If you don't like either of these spellings and you want to use a different spelling that you know is the absolute correct spelling, so like say Sao Paulo and you say Sao Paulo is actually SOPALO, something like this, okay? And you say merge, it will now use this as the correct spelling instead of either of these two, okay? But we don't want to do that because this is the correct spelling, so we'll stick with this one. Same with Bogota. And okay, Mexico City shouldn't have a dash, so this I will say with the space, okay? And then say merge. Now if we do this, you can say merge and recluster. Done. Now it says nothing is found. But that's because there are many other methods also. Okay, these are different algorithms. Okay, what these algorithms do is some of them use like Levenstein. You would have, if you have done PDSA, you will know about it. The Levenstein distance and things like that. Various algorithms are there to correct misspellings. So these are all different types of algorithms. These are, some of them are phonetic, some of them use some fancy things to find out. So you can see here now, when I chose a different algorithm, it gives you some parameter. I don't touch this, okay? I just change these things. So Dhaka, these are both spelled wrong. So I just say Dhaka. And I click on merge. Okay, both of these are spelled wrong, so I do that. They merge. But remember, whatever you do from here on, you have to stick with these spellings. Okay, whatever you have chosen. Kinshasa. No. Kinshasa, I think it is. Okay. Merge. This is the correct spelling of Chennai. Okay, that's fine. Then you say merge and select. So that's done. Now choose another algorithm. Whoa, this guy got loads of things. So yeah. So now this is a common place. This is a common place where some will make mistakes. So Dhaka and Tokyo, for some weird reason, this algorithm thinks are the same thing. Okay, it's just because of the algorithm. It's nothing to do with anything else. Okay, so I will leave this. I'm not going to touch this at all for now. And I'll say, yep, Manila. That looks like the right spelling. Buenos Aires. They all look so similar. Okay, that one. Kolkata. Now someone tell me that's the wrong spelling. I don't know. Mumbai. Okay. Delhi. Yeah. Oops. No, that's the wrong spelling. Yeah. Sao Paulo. Karachi. Yeah, that's correct, right? Karachi. Yes. Beijing. So you got the idea. This is what you do. You say merge and select, and it will do this. So as it finishes all this, if I close this, right, things will start getting better and better. Eventually, you may still have some that are one or two that are misspelled, like that Dhaka or whatever it is. You can do that directly from here also if you wanted to. If you go, say for example, this, okay, there are only two of them here, and these are the only two you're left with. You can say edit, say Dhaka, apply, and now all 76 rows are the same. So you can do individual edits from here also. So if you do this correctly, you cannot get GA question 9 and 10 wrong. You cannot get it wrong. Okay, so that's all it was. Any questions? Is that helpful to see?
I think you have to export the output.
Yes, yeah, sorry, I didn't show that, but yeah, you have to export that table, so then you can open it in Google Sheets or Excel and then do the filtering for these questions, bananas and sales and whatever. But if you get this correct, right, this spellings correct, then you will get the right answer. Okay, so that's it. I think that covers everything for week 3 really. I know there are some few things in here like command line things, which is this video here. Yeah, so this video here we didn't cover, but hopefully I've shown you an alternative of how to solve things in data frames. And pandas data frames will be very useful for you in our role. Okay, because usually you'll get 2 or 3 different tables. You'll have to create joins on those tables. Pandas can do that, whereas you can't do the join over here. Okay, this is good for some pre-processing, no doubt, and it's very fast if you know what you're doing. Okay, but if you don't know what you're doing, pandas can reliably do the job. In other words, you can each step you can check, are you going wrong? And I hope you've appreciated the value of the pandas, how we used it today. So that's it for today. I know it's gone a bit long this session, but I hope you found it useful, that you've learned something new today.
Yeah, absolutely, Carlton. Very helpful.
Okay. Okay. Any questions before I stop the recording? No?
No.
Okay, so I'll stop the recording now.